welcome to this week's episode of Beyond the Broomstick, that podcast that opens up the opportunities and possibilities that spirituality can bring to you in your everyday life, whilst removing some of the woo-woo that we see on social media these days. Welcome. If we haven't met before, my name is Matilda, and I am a professional psychic medium based here in Australia. I've been doing this for well over 20 years and have connected thousands of families with their loved ones who have transitioned to the afterlife. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about the stages of awakening. Now, the reason I'm doing this is 2025 is a massive spiritual year. It is the year that many people will become more self-aware and self-reflective, and there will be a lot of spirituality and growth across the globe. Also going to be talking about 2024 and 2025. What have I seen is the general theme for 2025. Now, if you are a member of my Patreon and the Broomstick Besties, you will already have my 2025 predictions. I made a video. I think it's well over an hour long. It is global. The reason I've put it on Patreon is because I am sick of the shit on TikTok. Sorry. If I don't need to put up with it, why should I? It's on Patreon. It is free to the tier that is the Broomstick Besties. But it is available to buy for, I think it's $30. Now, the reason I put it up to purchase is if I were to have an event where I do my whole 2025 predictions and people buy a ticket, it's going to be about $100. I didn't want to do an event. I wanted to keep things reasonable and cheap, but it takes a lot of energy and time to do it. So that's where I've put it. The Broomstick Besties got it because, my gosh, you guys have been patient with me in the last 6 months. I haven't been able to create a lot of content other than for the lower tiers, just through the pain levels I was going through. Things are great now. I cannot tell you how fabulous I'm feeling. I'm still in the recovery phase of a spinal fusion. I am on week 8 today, and I have achieved more in the last 48 hours than I did 6 months before my surgery. I haven't had pain in my leg for days. It's intermittent. It's still healing. I still get a bit of nerve pain, but I'm starting to realize that the surgery was worth it, and it is only going to get better from here. Again, thank you for everyone for your patience, your kindness, your healing, and all of those things. My community, our community, is phenomenal. And are we not all blessed to be part of that? If you don't know about my Patreon, the link is in my bio. We have chats on there. We have different chat groups. I'm trying to do a live every now and again. There's newsletters, there's predictions, there's extra podcasts, there's 2025 predictions. There's a new level going up very soon, which will give everyone free access to all of my group events. And as well as that, we're going to be doing some, like a once a month get together for those starting their spiritual journey, intuition, all of that sort of thing. So look out for that in the new year. As always, I will include some predictions at the end of the episode. Today is all about what to look out for in your awakening stages, how you know you're somewhere through being awoken. Now, I don't like the term woke. I don't like the term awakening. It is something that many people go through. Often there's a bit of pain beforehand, because we realize that we may have been living in a shroud of accepting other people's behavior more than we should, accepting our own behavior more than we should. That's one thing that we have to get used to. As you receive this episode, you are going to be going into a new year, 2025. The start of 2025 is going to be dramatic, to say the least. There's a lot of things going on around the globe that first week of January that you're either going to cope with or you're not going to cope with. Please pay attention to the things that you have control over. That is you. That is your surroundings. That is your people. And how you feel about things. But 2025, as I've said, is going to be a very spiritual year. There is going to be a lot of sightings of spiritual apparitions. The Mother Mary, for instance. There's going to be a lot of spiritual things or things happening that maybe we don't have an answer for. There is no logical answer for. It is not the easiest of years. I laid that out in my 2025 predictions, and I am not here to put fear into your life. There are things I don't agree with around the New Earth mentality. If you've watched me for a while, I don't like the New Earth mentality. I don't like this cult-like behavior. It is very attached to organized religion with the 5D rapture theory. If you have to have fear put into you to change because you fear being left behind, and on the other side of that, if you are someone putting fear in somebody because they are going to be left behind in this so-called rapture, then you ain't spiritual. I have always said that spirituality, the afterlife, is as basic as it comes. It is. So therefore, you will be part of it. I have said that forever. But let's understand one thing. Part of the 5D that these people are pushing, because they want people to change or become more spiritual or accept things or accept. Some of that I don't disagree with. Because during 2025, if you are still living in your old ways and stuck in your old ways, you will struggle. Those that are self-aware and enlightened will manage the energies so much better. So prepare yourself now. Become the person you want yourself to be. Because you can do it. You really can. There are a couple of stages of feeling as if you have become more spiritually aware. Should we just say spiritually aware instead of awoke or awakened? Many people, as they are entering that stage in their life, are faced with choices. Choices around decisions they've made, people that they've been around, settling for less, wanting more, feeling unfulfilled. You're on the verge of greatness. Your soul is trying to emerge. Let it. Self-reflection and questioning is one of the first stages of this. There is always a feeling of unhappiness or a subtle shift in perception before the soul begins to seek answers and deeper meaning. However, many souls get stuck, unable to move forward without the ability to trust or to stay in balance. The imbalance is representative of the emotional state of being. Honestly, the feelings of unhappiness and emptiness occur just before you start to become more spiritually aware. This undesirable emotion sometimes becomes the norm, and you have a choice. You lean in or you lean out. If you with it and you choose to stay in that unsettled, empty feeling, then you're not going to grow. But watch out for that emptiness, that need, that want It will be the start of greatness. You will want to start initiating change. On any spiritual journey, it involves a combination of self-reflection, intention, and conscious effort. During this phase of a spiritual awakening or spiritual growth, it happens as you challenge your beliefs. It is natural that you have more questions for your peers about spirituality. You are really tapped into understanding the universal knowledge, understanding how the universe works or works in your favor really helps. Often this stage of your spiritual journey means that you will meet either a messenger, a spiritual guide, or someone that will put you on the right pathway. It doesn't mean that you're stuck with that person. It doesn't mean that they've got all the answers. It just means that you start to seek out the guidance. In exchange, your spiritual guide will offer you grounding of sort and what can become your new reality, but only with trust and acceptance. At this stage of your journey, as you explore different spiritual practices, such as intuitive guidance, mindfulness, meditation, yoga, or even prayer, it is important to be open to experiences that you feel drawn to. Allow yourself to be drawn to things. Don't feel as if you have to be part of something if it's not something that you feel drawn to. Spiritual journeys start somewhere. It is not the end, but the beginning of the unfolding of the truth. Are you ready to embrace the path that leads to the limits of your beliefs? Seeking support and learning from spiritual teachers can profoundly enrich your experience, offer you valuable insights and wisdom that you can embrace. But that's not all of it. You must explore things alone. I am very against becoming part of one school of thought, especially when you are starting to explore a spiritual growth. Because not everyone is for you and not every modality is for you. Spiritual growth or spiritual awakening, whichever way you want to put it, is not necessarily about performing spiritual practices. It is embracing and bringing spirituality into your life in order for it to really enhance your life. Anything that makes it harder is not part of your journey. Many people will encounter a significant life event that triggers a profound inner transformation. This can be a moment or months of intense emotional upheaval. Experiencing the spiritual rumbling effect is extremely challenging, and the common triggers are the loss of a job, grief, emotional trauma, and unexpected religious conflict, the loss of meaning in some aspect of your life, and culture shifts. Remember that we are formed by our cultural and religious beliefs that we often are stuck with from an early age. When we start questioning things, it can be really uncomfortable. It's important to note that a spiritual crisis is a deeply personal and subjective experience. What triggers a crisis for one person may not have the same effect for another. Additionally, some individuals may go through multiple spiritual crises in their lifetime, each triggered by different factors as their beliefs and understanding of the world evolve. During this stage, it is important to stay open to the possibility of growth. When we encounter negative experiences, it often feels like this will last forever. Approach your spiritual crisis with the growth mindset. Instead of seeing it as a setback, view it as an opportunity for profound personal and spiritual growth. True spiritual growth demands not just the awareness of light, but the acceptance of the shadow within. What are you willing to confront in your journey towards wholeness? Remember, a spiritual crisis, while deeply challenging, can also be a transformational experience. It often leads to more authentic, mature, and nuanced spirituality as you navigate through the uncertainties and emerge with a deeper understanding of yourself and your beliefs. Healing and integration is one of the most important parts of that spiritual journey. We can be confronted by demons of our past. And if you've had a reading with me, and you will know that my guides are often able to go back in your journey and pinpoint when your trauma or your patterns started and why they started. That is only one part of the journey. The healing stage of spiritual growth is when you really start to do the work of personal development and growth into more emotionally mature being, which begins with the release of your past traumas. Emotional release plays a crucial role in healing, both physically and psychologically. Emotional release, such as crying or expressing anger in a healthy way, can help reduce stress. Holding on to emotional pain and trauma is one of the leading causes of cardiovascular issues and a compromised immune system. Emotional release can reduce stress, potentially improving overall physical health. It is important to note that emotional release methods can vary widely, and what works for one person doesn't always work for another. I like to recommend physical activities, breathing, yoga, engaging in creative expression, and being of service as some of the things that really help people heal. Integrating what you learn in the healing process is relative to accepting the interconnection of all things and embracing a sense of unity and oneness with the universe. Creating a daily spiritual practice can bring a sense of purpose, peace, and mindfulness to your life. We are all creatures of habit, and many find a powerful morning routine benefits to start the day with their spiritual practice. My routine always starts with gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most amazing things that help me get through my day. Setting my intentions for the day, it really does help. And lastly, I want to just talk about integration and continued growth. Our journey never ends. It starts, and we will forever be seeking what we find helps us grow. At the final stage of growth, you will come to the profound realization that despite all you've learned, you will often find yourself at the beginning of new levels of insight. The soul's call to awaken is subtle, yet persistent. If you're hearing it now, trust that it's time to rise into your higher truth. The question is, are you ready? Living authentically. When you stop pleasing people, when you really start to realize who you are and what you deserve, and releasing the patterns around you that are really binding you into a life of feeling unfulfilled, is an amazing part of the spiritual journey. And you can do it. I'm going to take a moment to do our Patreon shout outs for this week. Thank you to all of my newest Patreon supporters and everyone who's joined my Patreon in the last 12 months. Without you guys, there would be no Beyond the Broomstick, and I wouldn't be able to do what I do. So thank you so much. If you are a Patreon member, if you have recently joined, if you are an older Patreon member, please make sure that you check out the collections. No matter when you join, you will have access to all the past content, and that includes past Patreon-only podcast, Q&As, newsletters, extra predictions. And now if you join as a Broomstick Bestie, you have access to my 2025 predictions. My 2025 predictions are up in the Patreon shop for a nominal amount. I have chosen to do it that way because if I'd have held an event to hold to do my predictions, it was well over an hour and a bit long. I would have charged for that event, but I've decided to do it this way to keep it cheap for everyone. As you know, TikTok isn't very kind to me at times, so I'm keeping them in the Patreon at this stage. But thank you to Adrienne W, Beck, Jess Oliver, A, Wicked Notions, Erin, JCS, Olivia, Catherine Marie, Evelyn Baldwin, Sophia, Sally Jones, Rachel Comment, Irish Eyes, Alexia, Carmen Soto, and MH. Thank you, guys. Your support is it means the world to me. It really does. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you all had an amazing Christmas. I spent Christmas with my kids and their partners and their dad and the two dogs who caused nothing but havoc on the day, with the puppy grabbing presents and running out and getting in the pool and then coming in and wiping his wet body on everybody. He is just a giant dog. And yeah, beautiful, beautiful dog. But oh my gosh, he was a handful on Christmas Day. And we ate outside. It was very warm. It was 30-something degrees. We have seafood here. There was a roast for those that ate meat. I had some seafood and salads. It was amazing. And then Boxing Day was incredibly hot. There was a horrific wind. And if you are in Victoria, you will know what it was like that day. But 2024 has been a pretty amazing year for myself. I have thoroughly enjoyed the year, apart from the last couple of months. But even that is a way forward for me. I have realized that, over the last couple of days, I have been able to do more physically than I was able to do for a good year before my surgery. I cleaned out my wardrobe, I cleaned out my freezers, I cleaned out my pantry. I'm going room from room and just cleaning stuff out and, wanting to start 2025 fresh. I'm planning on buying a new home in 2025, something closer to town so that I don't have to drive all the time. I've even got some exciting travel planned for April, which I will tell you all about, hopefully next week. I will be able to make an announcement about that. But yeah, 2025 is going to be an incredibly bumpy year for the world globally. The universe, as they do personally, are going to give us choices globally. And some of it is going to be very difficult. I'm not going to lie to you, because I'm not here to, an Australian saying, blow smoke up your ass. Conflicts are going to expand. Things are going to get very, very difficult. But on a personal level, on a level for yourself, you can have an amazing year. Learning to not obsess over things that you cannot control is going to be your savior. It is going to be difficult. I can't lie about that. Both because of conflicts and trade embargoes and shortages of supplies due to various reasons, including strikes. It's not just about conflicts, but there's going to be a lot of strikes. There's going to be a lot of breakdown of supply chain. There's going to be some issues within healthcare globally. I'm not just talking about the US. There are going to be some repeat elections. But my job is to make sure that you navigate it for your greatest good. Working on your own ability to sit in your power, to realize what deserves your energy and what doesn't. So many people became so attached to the outcome of the US election. Now, we all know that that wasn't right. We all know that there are things to come out about that. But becoming so attached meant that when the initial outcome came out, you didn't have any resources to manage that. Really working on concentrating on managing your own self, working on your mindfulness. I'm not saying that you have to practice meditation for an hour a day or switch off the news completely, but be more discerning. Being kind to yourself isn't just about going for a spa day or having your favorite food. It is about being discerning about the news that you take in, about how you manage and navigate the day-to-day of an ever-changing global situation. The two words for 2025 are agile and empowerment. Every single person has the ability to be agile and empower themselves. 10 minutes a day will set you up for managing whatever comes your way. Practicing your gratitude. Yeah, you may feel like there's nothing to be grateful for, but there is always something you can be grateful for. And setting your intentions on how you are going to feel is something that can really help you navigate difficult situations. I have, in my 2025 predictions, said very clearly that every single person would do well. And not just talking about conflicts, I'm not just talking about things that you would assume would happen, but we will have a breakdown in the chain of basic deliveries. Food. You're not going to starve. There's going to be things for you to eat. But preparing yourself to make sure that you've got a couple of extra tins in the cupboard, that long life milk that you need, making sure you have cash on hand because of cybercrime and cybersecurity and banking systems going down. I'm not saying that the banks are going to suddenly have no money, but your access to it may be halted for 24 or 48 hours. And depending on your budget, make sure that you have enough somewhere in your house for the basics that you need to put petrol in your car. Remember that the worst thing that you can possibly do is panic. As I've said, the first week, 2 weeks of January are pretty hectic with the news cycle, with terrorism, with arrests, with shocking information. There is nothing that has ever happened like what we are going to see in January 2025. In fact, nothing is going to prepare us for what we are going to experience. On a personal level, you will always be okay as long as you look after yourself. This is why for the last 12 months, I have been teaching you about sitting in your consciousness, about mindfulness. All of those things are going to help you manage. The people that panic are the ones that are going to risk everyone around them and their own mental health. Maybe it's the day and age of instant gratification that is causing this, as in people's behaviour and panic. Be prepared to see things that are going to feel scary. Spoiler note, by the end of 2025, everyone is going to be okay, but it is a bumpy ride. What I have seen coming in for January, okay, is a lot of active terrorism and acts of war globally. The US feels like it's a bit of a target. One of the predictions that I have made that there will be something to do with Mar-a-Lago or Trump properties, etc. I feel more Mar-a-Lago, I'm going to be honest with you. That is going to be front and centre. Monumental decisions coming out of the Pentagon and other agencies. Be prepared for that. Be prepared for a couple of public hissy fits. We've already seen the Trump and Musk going at each other. They're going to show a united front for a couple of weeks and then it's going to kick off again. So be prepared for that. There is likely to be a mass casualty event within the second week of January. And I do feel like it is like a mass pew-pew event. I'm not getting a location, but I feel like it's another let's ban guns. Do I think they're going to do anything? No. Do I think there is a delay to the inauguration? I've already said yes, I do feel there is a delay. Do I feel there's a problem around Speaker of the House? Yes, I predicted that a year ago. A lot of people are always quite shocked when I don't respond to stuff. One of the worst questions I ever get asked on social media is, I want your thoughts on blah, 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 blah. I want your thoughts on blah, 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 blah. If I've already predicted it, if I already told you it's going to happen, I don't have any more thoughts. I'm not sure what more I can possibly give other than I am not all about the predictions. I'm about you guys learning to manage your energy. And that is incredibly important. All right. That's about it from me this week. Strangely enough, this was all recorded on the 31st of December with the idea that I was going to edit it and get it out yesterday. My usual date for release is a Wednesday. And I am, as you know, recovering from surgery. And I did, I've been walking every day and swimming every day, or at least exercising in the water every day. And Wednesday morning, I went and did a load of exercise. And when I say the nap took me, it wasn't a case of me taking a nap. The nap came and took me. And I had nothing. I had nothing left. And the night of the new moon, which I think was Monday night, I got no sleep at all. I very rarely sleep on the night of a new moon. The energy just keeps me awake because the collective energy is all about people are manifesting and they're putting their thoughts out there. And for some reason, that is the only time that I ever get really affected by the moon's energy. I'm sure Laurie Rivers will tell you something completely different about me being affected by the moon's energy. And then I lost my wallet. So that was a whole drama. I had to cancel all of my cards. I've just realised that my driver's licence was in there as well. So I've now got to go and cancel that. But in the mix of all this, I'm applying for my ESTA to go to the States, booking flights for the States and booking accommodation for the States. News on that coming up. If you are on the west coast of the United States of America, you will hear about that next week. But all of this had to be done today, so I didn't have time to finish editing. So apologies. Please look after yourselves. Please take care of yourselves. That energy needs to be coming inwards. If you are struggling, reach out to your friends. It is so important that you have and build a community around you during 2025. It really is important. On that note, I'm going to sign off. If you are interested, my dates for March are now available to the public. They get released to Patreon members early, and they are now available to the public. There are 3 events I am hosting in January. The first one being the 4th of January, which is the evening of the 3rd. It is a 30-minute manifestation and meditation event for 2025 to bring in the best outcome for yourselves during the year. The second event is the 11th of January, which is a large evidential mediumship event where there is an opportunity for a reading, but you get to watch me work and you get to find out about mediumship and evidential mediumship. And the final event, which is, I think it's on the 18th or 19th, is a self-concept and resilience workshop. All of these I have kept incredibly affordable for you. You get an hour-and-a-half workshop for $50, Australian dollars at that. It is, if you are wanting to work on your resilience, your self-concept, your confidence, who you are, that one is for you. I will catch you next week when I will have the amazing Kate Forster with me. We're going to chat all things spiritual and her books. She is an author based here in Australia, but she does have a Patreon. She helps people work on focus wheels and focus and that sort of thing. So I thought it'd be really interesting to have a chat with her. See you next week. Take care. Lots of love.